Welcome to Caffeinated Mornings, a show built around the idea of more conversation and less presentation. We dive deeper into discussions that go beyond the surface of the work. A big thank you to our sponsors who make this show possible. Today's episode is brought to you by the award-winning, strategically driven, independent, full-service agency TDA Boulder. And we can't forget Buck Ross Productions and Coop Studios for helping us capture and share this show with you. A special thanks to The Coffee Ride for keeping us caffeinated, and to Realtor Michelle Sander and the Zeal Group at RE/MAX, CMCI Studio, Snappy Little Numbers for our theme music, and Pro Photo Rental for their continued support. In this episode, we join everyone's favorite designer and host, Jay Farrakane, in his recent conversation with creative director, mentor, spiritual journeyman, and founder of Ideas for Animals, Evan Fry. In this talk, we discuss Evan's background in his influential creative work, being a part of CPB in its heyday, and his recent focus on finding contentment in life and work by leveraging a no-thought approach to idea making, which he calls stillness creativity. Honest and real, Evan always brings an authentic view to this crazy industry we call creative and to life. So get comfortable, get caffeinated, and get ready to be inspired and informed by our longtime friend and true brother, Evan Fry. Let's go.
Evan.
Jay.
Brother, friend, creative director, mentor. Thank you so much for being here, dude.
Yeah, thanks.
I felt like this has been a long time coming. We've talked a little bit about you coming back and literally coming back. You flew in last night, current resident of Tucson, Arizona.
Yep.
I'm so stoked for you to be here. We've worked together for 10 years, I think.
I think we started working together in 2015.
And we knew each other before.
Yep.
Thank you, Small Town and Bicycles.
Yeah, parties at your house with the boys, like this big.
They were teeny.
Yeah.
Still same behavior though. And I think I was a little naive when I first met you. I just thought you were this dude that come to work at the new place in town.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, he's like this just fast bike racer guy. And then I'm like, oh, he's also like a world-class creative and has done some big stuff. But it never got in the way of us being friends either, which I always thought was really super cool. You didn't present yourself with that up front. But I want to kind of talk a little bit about now. We're going to start with where you're at today. I think it's your most recent entity, and I've really been fortunate to be your partner on work that's come through Ideas for Animals. I want to talk a little bit about and I do feel fortunate that I've actually gotten to see that thing start from birth. You let me help you kind of build it, but it's really interesting to see how you approach work through it and the expanse that it can have and its potential. You want to talk a little bit about what you've been up to, Ideas for Animals, the shape that might take on, and the work it is allowing you to do right now, but also maybe in the future.
Yeah, I mean, no, I don't want to talk about it. I started it.
The most Evan answer ever.
Well, I started in, I guess 2023, and now I don't really care to push what it was originally intended to do. I had realized as a longtime non-animal consumer that I was this passion to channel my abilities to think on behalf of brands into brands that don't use animals in their supply chain. But since launching it, which is just a year and a half or so, I guess right at a year and a half or so, I no longer have any interest in trying to tell anybody what to do. And so even though some of the ideas are still up on the site, I just changed the site like last week, and it's nothing because now I don't know what it is.
Right.
But I kept alive for now the I call free ideas. But it's still my LLC, so if I freelance, if someone gets an invoice from Ideas for Animals and they're like, "What is this?" I say, "That's my LLC."
Yes.
And they're like, "What is this?" And I say, "Go to the site." And then they say, "What is this?" So it's very unclear right now, but it originally started from an intent of trying to help brands and activism companies have ideas to, teach people things. And now I'm more like, do what you want.
Well,
I don't want anybody to be
the
shoulded
interesting
on. No shoulding.
right. Well, and I think that's like we'll talk about some interesting juxtapositions or even some counter ideas here at some point. But like in your background of obviously advertising, a lot of times advertising's job is to tell people what to do or what they need, that kind of thing. And I think the interesting thing, you and I don't know if you like me saying this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. You've been like my free spiritual MBA, like because we have like really interesting talks. We'll talk about like all the work we're doing, but then also it's like
Eventually, we talk about
we talk about work.
We're like, geez, we're at an hour and we haven't talked about.
Yeah, let's start making some work here. But the interesting thing to me is like also I think IFA or whatever anyone is working under these days, I think getting comfortable with the fact that the shape isn't super defined all the time and that it can change. And I think that's been the really interesting things, and we'll get into this more with stillness creativity, that maybe being less controlling of the shape of things and seeing what they do is that a hard kind of like space for you to like start to function in? Is you're like, I don't understand the border of this thing yet. But I think getting okay with that is as a maturity or a strength, or maybe it's just a place you put yourself.
I think in general we've talked about this. That would fall under perhaps just a concept of I don't know. Like I think I don't know is really awesome, and there's a lot of room within whenever we are faced with something. If we just don't know, that's great because that leaves the room for the answer to come. And that can sound fortune cookie. I don't mean it that way. I just literally mean if there were more value in not knowing, I think we'd be a lot more open. And I know I can only speak for myself. So I've always been attracted to that. Before it was like, I just wish someone would say, I don't know. Like if you ask someone, hey, where's, Walnut Cafe? They'll be like, well, you go up there and like, just say you don't know. Because you don't.
And we do, I would say society puts a lot of equity in knowing, not knowing. And in fact, I think the whole creative industry is built on like proving out your reputation.
Everything here is.
And so, like that notion, because this was funny because I knew we would get into this space of I don't know. Obviously, I think it's like a highly underutilized tool. Are you more comfortable these days saying, I don't know?
Yeah.
Because I think
it's amazing to try it. Like the more you do it, the more you'll see someone just like, oh, whoa. And then lots of awesome connection happens from there, or you figure it out together or.
Well, and there's a certain like vulnerability that comes out.
Yeah, it's not easy.
No. And
we value it. Knowing is currency.
Right.
Here. All right. So yeah, to say that. Yeah.
Well,
and that's essentially the heart of this whole thing. Like, but I'll let you got paper there and words on it.
Don't worry about me. I got my plans. I got my plans.
That's what I'm saying. I don't have to say anything.
Well, and so where do you think like in this not knowing world though? Because I found that in my own practice, whether I'm doing it very like outwardly and being intentional about it, or shit, I'm not responding to that email because like I don't know. Like honestly, I'm doing these things where I'm kind of padding up space until I do know. I don't actually want, and I don't know if it's a byproduct of I don't want to tell them I don't know.
Yeah.
But I feel like I want to have some perspective on something when someone brings me a problem. And so recently until I have that, I've just been kind of sitting quietly with it. And then people will be like, hey, did you get that last email? And I'm like, I don't have an answer for you yet. And maybe that's what I should just say right off the bat. I don't think enough people do that.
Yeah, so. I think it's awesome. I mean, there's the best advice tip there.
I don't know
for any of you taking notes. I see some note takers out there.
All right. So in the lead up to this, you said something to me and I actually had to like write it down because I was kind of like, okay, I'm going to chew on this for a little bit. You described stillness creativity as the no thought presence within each of us that gives ideas, insights, and solutions.
Thanks for writing that down. Because there was anxiety on remembering that, and now the no thought presence which provides or gives, ideas, insights, or solutions. So there's a paradox there, and I mean, I'll just say now, like I don't know anything other than all this is a way to like get here, talk to y'all, be on Caffeinated again. And it's just generally a merging of what I'm learning. If you Google stillness creativity or use DuckDuckGo if you're not into Google, you'll see it's not original. and it's been covered, you know. I don't know if it's named, you know, necessarily in 2 words like that. But also anything I say that might resonate with y'all, it's not coming from me. I'm not taking credit for it. It's just like trying to pass along or extend the things that I value now. But yeah, I think I like the paradox within that definition just because, you know, and it jumps right off of what we were just talking about, where like if we're faced with anything and we have the presence, just some kind of reminder to say, I don't. If we can go to some sort of pause, it doesn't have to be some crazy technique or method, and just know that like within that, you know, it's very likely that we'll be given some sort of tip or insight.
Well,
and I can say more on it, but
no. And I think it's interesting to talk about the paradox of it because I think in the creative world, we're very often taught to like go fucking figure it out,
yeah,
right?
you have
Like
to, well,
really
deadlines are
grind it
good at
out,
that
yeah,
too.
deadlines and all that kind of stuff. And so, like, you know, the notion of if we just stop thinking for a moment,
Well,
the ideas are going to come.
yeah. You
But,
can't
like,
stop thinking, though. I'm going to jump in on that. But
right. And we were even using the example of like, I'm going to stop thinking so I can write, you said this, a Super Bowl headline or a Super Bowl ad
I
or
didn't
something
say
like
stop
that.
thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you were saying in that voice of you can't
Force it. Yeah.
To the point of like stillness creativity, was there, it sounds like, you know, you said the concept is out there, go Google it.
Well, the words married together are, and it's common to, you know, the general root is the same thing we're talking about here.
Right. One thing is, I think that's been interesting to watch you with it is that you're starting to put the framework around it. It's funny that we were talking about working without frameworks, and now you're kind of like putting some understanding around it so that it has an ability to hold on to. Does it become, you know, once you give it some structure or at least enough idea that you're like, I'm trying to get to this space or utilize it, does it become a tool at that point? Can stillness creativity be a tool? Like, is that in your tool set of like, okay, I'm going to brainstorm, I'm going to go do this, I'm going to do that? Does it function in that way?
I think
Can
it certainly can.
Yeah.
I think I like the idea of like, first of all, what I'll say first is just, if anyone's wondering, what are you talking about? Let's calibrate a bit. It's not necessarily some kind of like deep thing. It's very accessible. All it means is like if we're trying to solve anything and we're working hard on it and we think it's our own doing, whatever it is, and maybe we reach an impasse or we're just tired or there's an end of the day. We all know what this is like, probably, where we have a moment, you know, in the shower, and I'm using air quotes for the podcast people. It could be in the shower, that's metaphorical. And we all know what that's like. And then you get an idea. That's what this is. So when I say a no thought presence, it doesn't mean like stop thought at all. It just means without our trying to do or fix or solve from our separate identity mindset, which is the ideas we think we are, and work on a problem, I'm doing it, right? Often a solution will come. Now that other conventional way of working creativity, like here's my creative brief, here's my problem I'm trying to solve, this shed I'm trying to build, whatever it is, lawn I'm trying to mow, it can be anything. We're gonna generally operate from, oh, it needs to be this way, and I'm gonna do that, and I'm doing it. Fine. But the sort of power to leverage or the understanding, if one sees value in this kind of thing and goes, oh, is then to answer your question more pointedly, like to maybe bake it in a bit. So like I think for a lot of us in the room or others listening who are like I call commercial creatives, so we're paid to work on creative briefs and we have a deadline. You know, if we do value that and start to work it into the process, that can be a tool.
Right.
And it can look like, my partner does this a lot, just taking breaks. You know, where you're like gonna go do something else. It doesn't mean take a break and sit in lotus and try to become some kind of hovering, sandal wearing, long haired person. It just means take a break, and you know, I think also do something different, because that's where it'll come. But I'm just running over now.
No,
But super related to that is I don't think we can force it. So if it's a tool, I really don't think that there's any control over it. And if we try to control it or rein it in or make it into something like, now I'm going to use stillness creativity, and I think it's more like creating the conditions for this phenomenon, again, air quotes, to perhaps provide insight.
Well, and to that point, like,
I was really well spoken there.
I know it's
wasn't
good. Thank God. I hope that recorder's working over there but Ryan's on the control, so we'll see. It is interesting to think though, because as there's a privilege in getting to watch other creatives work and how you get to see that. I've been witness to a lot of the way you do things and watching you take breaks and even building your practice as it's evolved has been very interesting. You're pretty like, you have like a process around your breaks, like scheduling, setting timers and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's helpful for you as you kind of work into that. Any like, you were mentioning your partner and how she's kind of like, it seems to do it like naturally. I think making it part of your literal creative practice is what you've been like so working on. Do you find do you have a consistency to it? Like I must do this every hour? Or
No.
Okay.
No, definitely not. But usually it comes because you're suffering, like we can't solve something, or we're stuck, or we're not feeling good, or we're uncomfortable. And that's always my cue these days, is to like, and for sure it's not about trying to like change the discomfort. It's more about just embracing that and really making that intentional. But as part of that, I think, there's one thing we can do, which is to approach anything we're doing with a question of what is it for? Most of the time we're going to say, oh, it is to get the lawn mowed, or it is to meet this deadline. But if it's for learning how we work as like, is it so that I'm doing it in a way that's creating harmony inside? I want this thing to be part of what's meaningful to me. Like just any kind of intentional question going into something, I think helps. But I also think it is back to what I said, which is if we find the value in this, and if we can understand that maybe remembering to do it, just however it looks. But I don't think setting timers on it and stuff is good. But I think, one thing that I do and we do is, you bake in a little more time.
Yeah, I've always appreciated that. Chip away tribe, we call that.
We call it, and I don't know if that's PC these days.
I don't think it is, probably not.
But we chip away at something. And like, I'll even do things freelancing, like if it's like, 3 days, I'm more comfortable saying to the coordinator, I'd rather take 5 days and bill for 3, or something like that, because that gives me the space. Now, it also to embrace the anxiety of it. Like, I'm not fighting my anxiety. I'm noticing it. And going in there and going, well, who's the one anxious and stuff? Now, that's more the deeper level. But as far as like, building in intentionality around it, I think it seems in this world that time is a thing. So you can use time.
Well, and the funny thing is, you and I have been doing this a long time, and most people would probably go like, oh, you still get anxious about stuff? But personally, my reaction, and we've talked about this, the recognition, is that the right word? Recognizing anxiety and looking at it, I look at it in a very different way these days. I'm more like, oh, that's why I feel like this. It's not going to help or hinder anything, at least in the way that I do things. It's present. I usually try and acknowledge it. We were even talking on the drive last night that then some of that anxiety to me in my early creative career was tied to, I don't know what we're going to make. And now the anxiety is still there. It's more of a recognition, but I'm more in the camp of, sometimes with wonder, but sometimes with like scared maybe. I'm like, fuck, I wonder what this is going to come out like. Like more, it's definitely a different
curiosity.
Yeah, it's more of like, it's less trying to control it, because I know it's going to happen. It will be a finished thing at some point. And we've talked at lengths about this. Is that more of like, is that some offshoot of stillness creativity? Because you're parking your brain in.
I like that. Yeah, that's really cool. I think if one is at a place, and I think that most probably conventionally comes with experience. You've been doing it a long time. You can sort of see a track record of, have I ever really missed the deadline? Have I ever just whiffed? No. So, and with this awareness around, okay, that's for sure. And what do I value most right now? Feeling harmonious. Well, how do you do that? When you're not harmonious, you're harmonious with the non-harmoniousness, right? That's a huge part of it that we all don't get coached on.
Right.
And then it's about like just giving space for something. If we fight the darkness, again, I'm using air quotes, it strengthens it. That's just the way it is.
It gives it a lot of energy.
It just strengthens it. If you want something to go away, good luck. It's never going away. So that's the same with this not thinking complete fallacy. Thoughts are always going to be there. Now I'm off the topic again. It's about noticing them and just letting them pass through. So the more we can do that, who's noticing it? But it's the same thing with something like that. It's instead of like, oh my gosh, here's a great new assignment. You know, Chuck McBride's the creative director, and I really want to impress him. And oh my God, you're tight and tight and tight and tight, 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 tight. So, versus, yeah, I feel the tightness. But I've never whiffed. Okay, so that's some good intellect coming in.
Yep.
And then it's like, okay, I'm gonna box this in a way so I give myself the space. Well, what is space? Space provides the opportunity to be still with it, which is what? Accepting. It's just being with it. So a lot of that sounds very Rick Rubin, you know, like, but Rick Rubin's rad. So
He is great.
and there's something to it. It's like, and so I just think like anything around, hey, what am I doing this for? Am I doing it for the paycheck, or am I doing paycheck's a nice byproduct of doing it so that I'm doing it with a good intention that maybe is peaceful for our inner state, because that's what's reflected back. By
Well,
the way.
and creative is such a weird world because for the majority, whether we are suffering in it or not, and we're usually only suffering in it when we don't know, at least for me, a lot of times.
Yeah.
But it is a space where you're like you saying that the money is an interesting byproduct, because a lot of times we're like, making shit is fun. It's like really cool, or at least it's very rewarding. It might not be fun while you're making it, at least for me. Sometimes design is very fucking hard, but when you're done, you're like, I had this thought the other night going to bed. I've been working like crazy lately. And I think the most amazing thing about creativity as a field is like, you can start the day and you really don't have much. And then by the end of the day, you have this cool new thing. Like I almost look at it as like material in some weird way. Like we love things. We love cool cars. We love watches. I do at least. But then now I have that same feeling every once in a while when things are right. I'm making air quotes now with where work is going or life is going, that I'm like, oh, it's this cool little thing right now. And I almost cherish it in some way. And that feels so fantastic. But I don't think that's common in a lot of other parts of the, at least work world, right? Where you're like, and by the way, I got paid to do that.
Yeah.
Sometimes we don't get paid much or on time, but that's a whole separate, different conversation.
Yeah.
You made an interesting, you used the word, we're often coached into these ways that we currently think. One of the fascinating things I've seen with the creative industry lately is there's a lot more awareness around how are we feeling, checking in with ourselves. Are we doing the right things to do better work at the end of the day, right? I think we've had, Caffeinated Morning's been known for, we always talk about either skateboarding or punk rock, and maybe we'll still get into that. But the mental well-being of creative people lately and how we do better work because we feel better, or at least we're conscious of why we're doing what we're doing. And I've always said this about you, that like creative director extraordinaire, whatever your titles have been in the past, you are a designer with a big D. Like you can look at layouts and stuff like that and tell me what's going on. But like even using these concepts, which someone, you know, the audience might hear be thinking about like, oh, they're talking about how they make their day work, but you apply it to life too, right? Like, I think that's the interesting thing about you is I call you like, you're like a journeyman of life. I'm trying these things. I'm looking at stuff. How am I going to talk a little bit about like where it came from to start to really pay attention to how I'm feeling and what's the impact on my work, how I'm treating people?
Yeah. It's always going to come from, you know, some kind of on your knees moment, I think. Anyone who's into any kind of thing, any method at all around feeling better, you know, you're gonna be like, oh, you know, seeking for outer things to create peace or happiness. You're gonna realize it doesn't work. It just moves the goalposts, moves the goalposts, moves the goalposts. There are happy people. Maybe that's not their lifetime to do it. Good for them, absolutely. And then there's people who, you know, are seemingly in a lifetime where nothing works to feel good. So you know, they could be called seekers. I mean, then there's like, you can get into like bypassing and bliss ninny and all that stuff, which is a terrible judgment, but it's out there in the world, in this realm.
Did you call it bliss ninny?
Bliss ninnies, yeah.
Okay.
People who just pretend it's all okay and it's not real. And it's like, no, that's really not the way to like undo, if undoing's even part of this. It's really just about paying attention. but being coached such that it's like not trying to change it, because that strengthens it.
Right.
But I don't really remember what the original question here was, or even if there was one.
No, I don't know if there was.
Oh no,
either,
I got it.
but
I got it.
was,
I got it. I
yeah.
got it. So yeah, it's not just about the creative brief or whatever we're working on. Like you can come into an issue in life where you just don't know what to do. It feels impossible. You don't know the conventional solution, and you'd love to fix it. Well, some sort of pause there with an understanding of, I'm just going to stop trying. I'm just going to stop trying to force the answer, is the same thing. And if the answer doesn't come like right away with some voice, like that's normal and people, but maybe it's going to come later. Just that openness to like having some help or a solution come is the same thing. But doing it for that is going to, not really make it happen.
Right.
Like it's really just about like, okay, maybe not forcing it right now is a good move. I've been forcing it. Let me just create some space around this and see what might come.
And like in my own personality, I think I have a tendency to fight through stuff. But very recently, and maybe it's from talking to you or whatever, but I don't. Surrender is probably a strong word to use.
Surrender is
but
a great word. It's a great word. That's
the,
what it's all about.
But there is a notion of right. We
That's
just
what
have
it's
to wait
all
and see.
about. That's what it's all about. Sorry to interrupt.
No, but I expand a little bit on like the value of
Just
surrender. And all.
there's levels to that, right? Like parking spot. I give up. I don't know. But you're still gonna drive. You're still gonna look for a parking spot. But you're like, I let up my expectations on where this thing should be, and the fact that I need to be close because it's raining. Just let it all. If you can surrender in that moment, just see what happens. And you know what? Walking a mile in the rain might be the absolute perfect thing. There's no might to it. It is the absolute perfect thing. It should be thus is a great saying to keep in mind, just in life.
It should be thus?
It should be thus. Everything out there that we're experiencing is perfect for showing us our discontent. And that's not to say you should be ashamed because you're discontent or you're anxious or you're angry at that thing. Nope. It's showing us our anger, which is there anyway. And the opportunity is then to go in, if we have the tools and if we're coached thusly, to then just sit with it. And so our jobs as commercial creatives affords us that kind of shit a lot. Now, I think a maintenance worker on a campus would also have those opportunities. We all have them. But the nature of the commercial creative job, and this is kind of what we were talking about in coming here today, it just occurs to me and many of us, there's just a lot of dynamics that are out of our control with regard to deadlines, client opinions, et cetera, but also when we're making something out of what we think is our own thoughts and minds, we're attached to it. Most of the time we're attached to it. If you're really checking in, you're like, you love something more than another. If you're showing 3 ideas, they're all yours, right? They're your ideas. That is a sweet trap, and we all fall into it. And so then what happens? There's feedback. It can feel cold and objective, and they didn't care. And what about my feelings? And oh my gosh. So there's it's trigger city. Like we are, and that's a beautiful opportunity. So we have these privileged jobs, which are pretty rad, and we get to do a lot of things, and a lot of us are extremely well paid. But if you really check in, there's lots of these opportunities to be like, I'm not peaceful at all with this, and I'm really wishing it were different. So, I think that the nature of having it feel like part of us, there's an attachment, and then there's so many forces out of our control. Yeah, I go punch a clock and I work in a brick plant. I'm pretty sure what each day is gonna go like.
Right.
Maybe the supervisor has bad breath, and I wish that was different. But generally,
the brick machine broke.
But with us, man, we don't know. And then the deadline moves, and the goalpost changes, and then the person changes, and we lose the client, and we do. And so I know that a lot of the dynamics of our jobs in general, at least in my experience, it created, especially when there's an expectation. I mean, I worked at a place where it was like, hey, you are in or you are out. And it was like every day we were looking over our shoulder, even if we had all the trophies. And so with that pressure too, and the expectation, and then you're comparing to other creatives who are better than you, et cetera. So it's such an internal game, and we're idea people. So we're up there in the old kitchen a lot, and better keep an eye on what's really going on. And you'll get to a place where you just don't have tolerance for it anymore, and you just need some help.
Well, and it is interesting because, like we touched on this too in the lead up to this, that the notion, you talking about, hey, I present 3 ideas and I love them and I'm attached to them. Yet my background in design has always taught me to be like not attached to them.
Well,
And
yeah,
it's all
we're
about,
taught not to be attached,
right,
but good luck.
objectivity and blah, blah, blah. So stillness, creativity, could it become part of the new objectivity in the world, right? Like I'm stepping away from it. I'm trying not to be judgmental. I've done that even very recently, like in the last week or so, where I've like gotten the first email on something, on some feedback or something. And I'm like, fuck those guys. And then I'm like, okay, go ride motos, do something. And then, it's a totally different
Yeah,
thing.
that's it.
And so it's,
But that's it.
But when you start to factor in the work we do, and I get, this applies to beyond creativity, but it's a complex world because we are managing a lot of variables. And so all of that chemistry coming together, and we haven't even touched on, like, where does ego mix into all of this? I think is one of the,
Oh my God.
it was almost prided.
Are you really going to go there, Jay?
It was almost prided though in the creative industry. Is like, I show up and you beat your chest and you're like, this is the best thing you've ever seen. Don't question me on it.
Yeah.
And now I don't know if that, I always joke that Nike ID fucked up the world for everybody in many ways. And that's a joke, but it's kind of truthful because it taught people that you could go into a very small space and make a thing and you have it. It's done. So then I think that translated out into the creative worlds and expectation setting for the larger public, right?
Wow.
In the sense of, I just gave you the brief, where's my stuff? And you're like, yeah, hold on, we need to marinate on this. And this is a topic in addition to like thinking through things, gestation periods in terms of like creative ideation and us building space into. I've so always appreciated that when we work together, that's how we've always kind of approached it, because we're controlling that.
Yeah.
Or are we controlling that? Based on this conversation, we're probably not. But
yeah.
Anyway, I think expanding on a little bit of the whole notion of they call it the equation of ego, where I'm going to put my mindset, doing the work, objectivity. How are you managing that these days?
Well, I have a different view of ego. And I think ego is everything that's material. I think ego is then a step more accessible would just be, it's just our personality. It's just our what we think of as me. So, I know that I've used it most of my life too, is conventionally, and I don't mean that as a diss.
Right.
But like, yeah, so-and-so has a big ego, or hey, no, leave your ego at the door. No, like that'd be like saying have no personality. So
it's also probably like saying don't think.
It'd be like saying there's no world. So, that's how I look at it now, because that's what I study and that's what I'm into. And I think there's a great, like, just relaxing around that. It's like, look, it's just everything that we think we are is ego. So just from that understanding, like, well, then fine. What do you do with that? You just work with it. You just accept it. You don't try to change it. It's so to answer your question, the balance, maybe it's like, I'm always trying to mind that. And again, it's just checking in a lot. It's like, what's my inner state? And trying to force it to be something different doesn't work. So it's, but also asking someone else to help you change it, or if that changed, I would feel better. That's such not true. It feels true in the moment, but it's just gonna move. Watch. You'll get a new something that you love, a new pair of shoes. Well, it's just set your timer until how long that you want a different pair of shoes. And that's a metaphor,
right.
So it's the same thing with regard to like, oh, if so-and-so were behaving different, I would be happy. Like every relationship we're in is the ultimate practice in my experience now where I am in my life. And it's like, if you're saying like, oh, so-and-so is causing me this or that. No, they're not.
Right.
They really aren't. I know it feels like that. And they feel, oh, they're not meeting my needs, or if they were only this way, or if they only had more time for, no, that's perfect. It's showing you stuff that's already there. Because what is the other end of the spectrum on trying to be special or be, a separate identity is complete peace with everything all of the time. And that doesn't mean we're ignoring things in the world. Doesn't mean that someone who is completely at peace with everything all the time is because they think it's an illusion, is going around murdering,
Hmm.
You know, so there's still, hey,
We still got rules of
come
society.
on,
Yeah.
like let's not go to that stupid level. But on the other end of the space, it's interesting to see that like if all things are exactly as they are, and we're from that standpoint, then it's noticing the discomfort and then accepting that. So there's just always this balance. I'm messing it up all the time. I know nothing. Like I am just here. There's a great phrase within the thing I study, which is to have peace, teach peace, to learn it. And the reason that's so important is because it says if you think you have to get something out there to achieve a certain state before you're ready to talk about this stuff, no. The way to get there, but it's always in the now, because salvation's always in the now, and that's not religious. That just means feeling fucking good, is to not be out there. It's the same with saying like, hey, these are the things I value. I'm going to talk about them. I'm not going to preach them. I'm on Caffeinated Mornings right now. You're asking me about it, and I'm taking the opportunity. But that's the same thing with Ideas for Animals. Like I was, in a way, even though I wrote it up as like not preaching, hey, be vegan. Like fuck yes, I was. And no more, because that's everyone's own choice. And I don't know that those animals are really suffering. I mean, I've seen Dominion, and I've seen some shit, and I don't partake, and I don't murder and rape either in this lifetime. But like, you know, so it's this balance always, and that is a woohoo tributary dancer.
Well, no,
dude.
but I think the interesting thing that you point to, and you know, me calling you a journeyman is, I want that to come off as a compliment, because I look at you as someone who is, seeker seems a little looser to me. Just, you know, I have to give everything a label. That's my downside. But the thing that's really interesting for me is like, I think the misconception of practitioners, teachers, whatever you want to call people who help other people understand more. There is a misconception that that's perfect, that they are perfect. I know, and some of the things like I feel fun. It's funny. Sometimes I'll teach, you know, I teach design. Sometimes I suck at design.
Yeah.
Should I be teaching design? I don't know. And so like, you know, I think that that's an okay part, because that stepping away from the, I have control over this, or just being real, I think is also the other side of that, that they're
man.
probably more learning is going to come out to whoever you're trying to share
There's
with.
no question about it. Like, you know, like there's a lot of like quote unquote spiritual leaders out there, right?
Yeah.
Or, you know, and in my experience, the coolest ones, the ones that'll get you in most, are the most endearingly like flawed.
I was
they'll
going to say,
just
I was going to use the word
you
flawed.
know, like I know Laura's here right now, like Ram Dass. Like if you know Ram Dass, one of the things that's the coolest about that guy's lineage of teachings is that he'll say like, and then I was in the bathtub crying all night because my lover dissed me. And and it's just like, what? Ram Dass is like, no, it's approachable and real.
Right.
If we think we don't, there's another guy, Ramana Maharshi, he was said to say like, no, the thoughts never stop. They may get a little quieter. You're going to notice them earlier and then just watch them without any, but they never stop. And here's a guy who sat lotus in a cave while rats chewed his ankles. So look, there is to say that we're in some kind of space where we're not dealing with humanness, which is what? Wishing something were different and fretting and in some level, in some way, that's ridiculous. And if someone's doing that, you know, just be there for them. Like,
Yeah.
you know, don't, no, and you know what else? People say, don't judge, right? No, that's all ego does. Ego is just discerning edges between things. Like without discernment, there would be no, we couldn't get around in this
Right.
space. What it is like noticing when you're judging and not judging that. And that is a very interesting thing.
Right, because it can put you into places of, yeah, it's the judgment spirals, right? Because in the creative world, we're almost kind of like built on judging. Is that good? Is that
Well,
bad?
I'll come back to what I just said. Like, no, everything is judgment. And to pretend like don't judge, that's just the tip of it. That'll just keep you in shame because, oh, fuck, I'm judging. If you're really looking at it,
Right.
that's all ego does. And so to watch the judgment without judgment, then you're watching it. And who's the watcher? So, you know, earlier when we were talking about this, I was like, Jay, I just don't want to go too deep. I want to stay at
Here we
in the
are.
shower moment. And I'm like, of course you're going to go deep.
Yeah,
That's
of
why our
course we are.
Zooms talking for like an hour on some kind of revision to a website end up being like, oh, fuck, it's 55 minutes.
Yeah, we should
And
talk
now we
about
should
the
talk
website.
about the website.
Yeah.
And then we do that all the time.
I'm going to mix it up a little bit for you, because I like to, we'll do a little bit of fun time break here.
This has been fun already.
So this is kind of some choose them kind of scenarios.
Choose them.
Choose them. So you get to pick one. Long walks on the beach or short rides in the woods.
Long walks on the beach any day.
Nice. Metal or carbon.
Metal.
Hmm.
Easy.
Briefs or free ball.
Free ball.
No shit.
Never.
Yeah.
No, never.
Huh.
I don't get it.
I'm
I don't
actually
get
not
underwear at
surprised.
all. I don't understand.
Um,
I just don't understand.
Friedrich Nietzsche, or Dalai Lama.
Dalai Lama.
Hmm.
Oh, for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah. That guy's always smiling, man.
Yeah, I know.
And he won't pretend that he's not got some stuff inside. He'll just be like, "Oh, I know. I just saw it. Just saw that weird thought that I wanted to lift her skirt."
He probably would, right? Print or digital.
Print.
I knew that one. And then scripts or headlines.
Headlines.
No shit.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, now back to the I was trying to just
non-fun
like
stuff?
well not that's not fun, but we did know we were gonna go like it potentially would go deep, and so I like the lightning of it. So and this kind of might fly in the face of the idea of stillness creativity, like
That phrase, by the way, always makes me laugh. I think of bats coming at your face. Fly in the face. This flies in the face of logic. Like, what are you talking about?
whoever invented that.
Anyway, go on. Sorry, I'm
it does.
interrupting.
It is a little bit of an aggressive.
I'm on fun time still.
cliche.
Interruptions or letting you talk?
Yeah.
Which one? Interruptions.
I like interruptions actually.
Okay, good.
Because I like redirecting.
Okay.
Yeah, I really do. I
Okay.
mean, you've had enough conversations with me where we're like, oh shit, we have 5 minutes to do the meeting because we've been talking about
Yeah.
bikes and life for,
That's when the best work happens, when
Yeah,
the
it
client's
is.
in the room.
well, we get out of our own way
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Is it possible to have like, and you alluded to this earlier, but like, are there tips or insights you can share to even begin to enter a kind of stillness creativity?
Yeah, I would just say like explore whether you feel like it's valuable to you. Like, have you ever had a moment where you noticed like walking away from something, doing something else was helpful to what
Yeah.
you're chewing on or working on? And if so, then like build time in for it, but don't think you can force it. So you just create the conditions for it. I would
Right.
just say create the conditions for it, and if it's valuable to you, then cool. And if not, just who cares?
I personally am wired in a way that I've never been good at many things. Like the more you let go, the better you are. Golf is a really good example. I try and smash the shit out of a
Golfer
ball.
Jay,
Can
I
you
don't-
imagine
you
me
don't
playing
present
golf?
as a golfer.
I know. There was a period in skateboarding where it was cool to golf as a
It's
byproduct
still cool
sport.
to golf. Golf's awesome.
I don't know if it's cool.
I think it is. What's
but
cool
I would
about-
try and
sorry, but what's cool about golf is that you want it to get in the hole. But if you're not completely focused on the ball where it is right now, it's not going where you want it to go. And someone told me that once, and I was like, oh, got it. Anyway,
But you're touching on why golf is probably a challenging endeavor for me because focus, one, we know I'm ADD as hell and I run around like kind of crazy. I think I have deep periods of focus, but it's usually when people aren't around
just
and
watch
things like
that
that.
label. You're not that label.
And then, but I would always try and smash a ball because like I did good at things where the more exertion,
Yeah.
things were better. But
Just
golf is one of those ones that was like, let it just fall from your shoulder. And it goes 400 miles. But if you were like, and it would go like, boom, boom, like
Yeah,
4
yeah,
feet.
for
And I'm
sure.
like, I can't tolerate this. So it like to enter into I guess the ask here is, as someone who's almost trained themselves or found successes in, I will unrelent, I will not stop pushing on this thing. For some people, that's stepping away
Oh, yeah.
of going like,
It's
this is a solution.
counterintuitive. I'm sorry to talk
Yeah,
over
no,
you.
I want-
It's counterintuitive completely. That's why I say explore it. And if you find value in it, or if you're at a place where maybe other things haven't worked, it's really just about what is for you moments where you feel that, oh, just ceasing to force things. Does that feel good to you?
Right.
And what does that mean? So does that mean the cessation of what the false me, my egoic identity, my thoughts I think I'm thinking, what they think it should be? Just paying attention to that. And maybe you pick up on some coaching and something else resonates and you see a book in a bookstore and there's a method that you get attracted to, like go for it. Like I've been jumping methods since I think around '09 when I first found Eckhart Tolle.
Mhm.
And that was through my ex-wife. And it was like, whoa, this was like rad. And I went and saw him in Vancouver. And then now I'm kind of basically back to the same thing, but just different. He doesn't teach it the same way. But so if it resonates, then keep exploring. But if it doesn't, who cares? Like,
But even that Eckhart Tolle example is perfect, and it encapsulates the stillness idea. It encapsulates the don't know idea, because if you've gone back and seen him, it's a fascinating thing. Someone, I forgot who the guy was, but they were in, I don't want to say they were interrogating, but somebody was like reiterating to somebody about an interview they had done a number of years before, and they said, but when you talked about this, and his reaction wasn't, they basically were challenging him on the idea that he had said something counter to what he was saying now.
yeah, well,
And he
wow.
said, I know more now. And I'm like, that's really interesting.
Yeah,
So
well, there again.
the Eckhart thing, and hearing about you kind of going back and seeing him, watching his practice, we touched on this too today, that this idea of like, we understand that shapes change, maybe managing our expectations. So like, what is next for you?
Oh God, I don't know. I'm open to work again. Like I stepped away, and I don't know how much time we have, so I want to be.
We have all the time in the world.
Well, I really stopped everything in late 2018, and then I was like, I don't love this, and blah blah blah, and then now I'm back. Now I'm in a space of like, oh yeah, I see the value in using anything, like using anything out there to like show you what's needs some space
Yeah.
around it, internal stuff that needs to be looked at and undone, but you can't undo it. So, but anyway, so my professional skill set, lately I've been more like, oh, just really grateful for it, because it's a pretty good gig. So what's next is, I think, but it's still, what do I value most? And I value most like feeling good. And I have a different lens on what feeling good is now. So it's not necessarily like achieving anything out there, whether that's relationship status, but I still have that side that's like, damn, I see somebody and I'm comparing myself to an ex-colleague who's over here. I still have a side that says like more money would be good. But then it comes back to, what's it for? Is that for a purpose, for like, because someone else's interests are involved,
Right.
or it's just awareness of that. But professionally, yeah, I'm for sure open, and seeing where that goes. There's some things that I currently am engaged with that could grow. I have ideas for, I used to mentor. I started in 2020, free creative mentorship entity. And I noticed if I talked about that, just did a post on LinkedIn or whatever, I would get, interest, and I would just say like, set up a Zoom, and then since that time, I've had like I say it on my site now, like 100 original Zooms with people, and I never know who they are.
Right.
Not never. Most of the time, they're not people I know. They're just like, oh, I guess I'll try that. That's free, and but I don't think it would be free now, just because of like, I've noticed too. Along with that, it's like people don't value it as much. So I think like, so they're not as vested in listening, and that's fine. But like, I'm interested in potentially seeing where that might go. Yeah, I don't know what's next. I mean, I think I don't know is going to be a great teacher in that too, like walking the walk on that. Like, I don't know, but yeah, there's thoughts around what would maybe be best, but are they best? I don't really know.
And what is best?
Yeah,
That's your
well, it
judgment
depends on where
too.
you're coming from, right? Yeah.
Well, you're the best.
Oh, thanks. So are you.
That was fun, man. I really appreciate it.
Oh, we're done.
Yeah, we're done. No, I actually, I want to close. I've been very privileged to watch you and our friendship grow. You're like literally like a brother, and it's been fun to watch
Thanks, Jay.
all the evolution and change.
Yeah,
and
you too.
I've learned a lot. Your teach piece to know it and
Yeah.
all that. Like, we build that, and I think even your mentor practice of like you opening yourself to those, that's brave, dude. Like, I don't know, I'm always in admiration of it. So thank you so much.
Thanks a lot
Love you,
for
dude.
like having me. I love you too.
Love you guys all. Thank you so much. This is a First Friday event. So first Friday of every month. So first Friday every month, you guys should just be back here every time. Next month is Rick Griffith, who's one of my favorite graphic designers. Very well known. I love him to death, and he's a great dude too. And I can't wait to see what that talks like. So please come back, join us. Thank you for being my community. See you soon. So good.